All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. Want to give a special thanks to Isle Sabag, my man, supporter for many months now. Sure do appreciate all your support. Thank you. Also, want to give a special thanks to Gramps Skateboarding 4814. Thank you for the super thanks. I really appreciate it. From New Zealand. Awesome, my man. So glad that you found my channel. In this video here, talking about one of the most tired topics, but I'm tackling it from a little different angle. LeBron James's finals competition. Over and over, these clowns love to talk about it, tout the Hall of Famers, all this stuff. In fact, hear it from their mouths.
How many Hall of Famers do the Spurs have?
You hate the Spurs. You always call them broccoli.
But that doesn't mean their coaches going to the Hall of Fame. Duncan, Parker, and Manu.
Michael Jordan was going up against the Goon Squad in New York. Patrick Ewing, the late, great Anthony Mason.
Not a Hall of Famer.
Charles Oakley.
My good friend, not a Hall of Famer.
John Starks.
Not a Hall of Famer.
It doesn't matter. They were beating his butt.
Is Kevin Garnett going to the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Is Paul Pierce going to the Hall of Fame?
It's a different time.
Is Ray Allen going to the Hall of Fame?
One of the arguments against Mike was that the teams he played in the finals weren't great teams.
Yes.
Where in the finals, he beat a team that was far better than any team Jordan ever beat. Best team Jordan ever beat in the finals is 96 Sonics. It's a really, really, really good team. Don't hold a candle to the Thunder with KD, Russ, and Harden. Don't hold a candle to the 4 Hall of Famer San Antonio Spurs.
And by the way, LeBron James actually had to go through a lot of Hall of Famers to get what he had to get accomplished.
So they always go to the Hall of Famer well, as if this is the be-all, end-all of determining true competition or not. Now, I've done other videos of this before, and if you go by a team's record, which is the true gauge of how good a team is, until maybe 5 or 10 years ago, with all the load managing, you don't know anymore what the best teams are. The best teams can't survive a regular season and a playoffs and get to the finals anymore. They just can't do it. It's not like the old days. The gauge is not the same. I agree. But back then, it was. But these teams that everybody touts are so good, and some of them were legitimate teams. Some of the records were a little bit inflated because of how bad the league was at that time. You look in the mid-2010s, look at a team like Golden State. Okay, if they didn't get to the finals in 2017, who else was there? You talking about San Antonio with a busted-up Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker? What are they going to do in the finals? See what I'm saying? Who else you got? Houston? Who? There's no teams like that. When the Bulls were going to the finals back in the 90s, it was just a matter of which good team are they going to have to face. 96, it was maybe the Rockets going for a three-peat, maybe Utah, maybe Seattle. Any one of them teams would have been tough competition in the finals, no doubt. The next year, 97, 98, who are you going to play? San Antonio, maybe the Lakers, maybe Utah, maybe Houston. Any one of them teams would have been very good competition in the finals. Anybody who doubts that does not know what they are talking about. In the 91, the Lakers got to the finals, but they weren't the best team in the West. Portland was. They won 63 games. But in the mid-2010s, it was clearly the one team. It was Golden State. So what I got here is LeBron James's finals competition. 2007 Spurs. The 3 Hall of Famers that these guys go on and on about. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. Now, all 3 of those guys are between 25 and 31 years old. I'd say they're in their prime, no doubt. One player, being Tim Duncan, finished top 5 in MVP. Okay? Manu Ginobili didn't. So a lot of these guys might be Hall of Famers by name, but during that time, that season, it's not like they were a top 5 or 8 player in the league. They just weren't. It's just a name to shout out. 2011, Dirk Nowitzki finished 6th. He was about 33 years old, outside his prime. Jason Kidd was 38 years, 2 months old when he played in that finals. Definitely not on the MVP ballot. 2012 OKC. These guys are young, But Kevin Durant did finish second for MVP, so you have to say he's in his prime. No doubt about it. Won the scoring title. 23 years, 8 months old. Okay. Westbrook tied for 12th for MVP. Okay, that's pretty good. Nice. Harden, nothing. He came off the bench. He was not MVP level like people will say. These talking heads will say, oh, future MVP. Not in 2012 he wasn't. 2013 Spurs. Tim Duncan is 37 years and 1 month old. Manu Ginobili is 35 years and 10 months old. So those guys are in their prime. These are prime Hall of Famers. Come on. Kawhi Leonard's only 21 years, 11 months old. He's in his, second season? He's a puppy. He's still a good, effective player, but he's not prime Kawhi Leonard. There's a big distinction there. Duncan finished 7th for MVP. Parker finished 6th for MVP. Okay, that's nice. 2014 San Antonio. Tim Duncan is now 38 years, 1 month old. Manu Ginobili is 36 years, 10 months old. Tony Parker is 32, so even he is starting to get outside his prime. Kawhi Leonard, 22 years, 11 months. He's starting to get into his prime, yes. But nobody finished in the top 10 in MVP ranking that season. 2015 Golden State. All these guys were in their prime, no doubt about it. Curry won the MVP. Okay, that's great. Klay Thompson was tied for 10th, so he was probably like 11th or whatever. 2016, Steph Curry won the MVP. Draymond Green finished 7th, which is crazy. If Draymond Green can finish 7th for MVP, that should tell you a lot right there. And the next season, in 2017, Isaiah Thomas finished 5th. Okay. In 2017, Steph Curry finished 6th for MVP. Kevin Durant was tied for 9th, so he snuck in the top 10, basically. Okay, cool. In 2018, Curry was tied for 10th, and Kevin Durant was 7th. And I know people are going to say, well, because Durant and Curry are on the same team, they kind of cancel each other out. But you could say that for a lot of people. Orlando, when they had Penny Hardaway finishing 3rd for MVP, and Shaq was 10th. Or when Penny was 10th and Shaq was 2nd, I believe it was. That was in 95, I think. Yeah. Or Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Kemp was 8th. Payton was 6th. Kind of canceled each other out. So all told, in the 10 finals that LeBron James played, on paper, it's 31 Hall of Famers. Wow. But only 4 of them finished in the top 5 on the MVP ballot. 4. That's it. 15 of these players were top 75 players. So that's a total of 1.5 per series. Remember that number. So now let's take a look at Michael Jordan's finals competition and the Hall of Famers he played against in the finals. In 91, you got Magic Johnson. He's not even 32 yet. And what's more telling than the age, because both things are important, is the MVP rank. Still considered the 2nd most valuable player in the NBA. How could he be old and washed up? Ridiculous narrative. James Worthy was 30 years, 3 months old, prime, and Vlade Divac, 23 years, 4 months. He was coming into his prime. Okay. 92, Clyde Drexler, not even 30 years old yet, 2nd for MVP. 93, Barkley, 30 years, 3 months old, won the MVP. In 96, Gary Payton, 27 years, 10 months old, 6th for MVP, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. Pretty nice right there. And like I said, Sean Kemp finished 8th, so you could make the same case for them, that they canceled each other out of finishing in the top 5. 1997, there's even a case to be made here, except Karl Malone won the MVP. And even though he was 33 years, 10 months old, he won the MVP. How could he not be in his prime still? And John Stockton finished 15th. In 1998, Karl Malone is now 34 years, 10 months old, but he finished 2nd for MVP. Clearly, one of the 2 best players in the NBA still. And John Stockton was 36 years, 2 months old, tied for 13th for MVP, and he missed about 15 or 18 games, which probably had a lot to do with where he landed on the MVP ballot. But yes, I believe Karl Malone in 98 was the 2nd best player in the NBA. At that time, I do. Olajuwon had slowed down. He was pretty much not going to be considered a top 2 player anymore. Shaq, he was right there, probably 3rd, But no, he was not better than Karl Malone in 1998. They swept Shaq head-to-head. And Shaq had 3 other All-Stars on his team. So there's no way Shaq was better than Karl Malone in 1998. The next season in 99, I think they were pretty close to even, but I think Malone I'd still give a slight edge. He won the MVP. It was either him or maybe Tim Duncan for the actual best player. Shaq was right there, probably top 3. By 2000, absolutely, Shaq was the best player in the NBA. No question. But not in 98. No, he was not. Malone was top 2. So all told, Michael Jordan played against 10 Hall of Famers. Does that make it inferior competition? If you add up the win totals, Jordan's competition was actually better on average, going by win total, which is, I say, what you go by. But overall, no, I think LeBron's was slightly better, but not by much. Michael Jordan played against 10 Hall of Famers total. You're thinking, wow, that's a lot less than 31. Yeah, that's true. But what kind of quality were the Hall of Famers? Out of all those names that people will rattle off about LeBron James, only 4 of them were top 5 for MVP out of 10 finals. Michael Jordan, out of 6 finals, 5 finished in the top 5 for MVP. And before you start that stuff about, well, players will cancel each other out, like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, well, Gary Payton finished 6th, Shawn Kemp finished 8th. But another thing more telling also is, of the 10 Hall of Famers Jordan played, 9 were top 75 players. That's 1.5 per series. If you remember, LeBron James played against 15 top 75 players in 10 finals, which also comes to 1.5 per series. But like I showed you, these top 75 players are in their primes, high up on the MVP ballots, where a lot of these guys that LeBron played, they're not. They just flat out aren't. Tim Duncan wasn't even in the top 10. Michael Jordan was playing the cream of the crop players. No doubt about it. Magic, Drexler, Barkley, Payton, Malone. These were the cream of the crop players. Great players.
Offensive move. And now Magic posting and got it out for Worthy, who beat Pippen.
He took it to the basket strong, dunked it the way all coaches like to see you do, to be sure.
Well,
Magic eyeing up the court, looks left, but sees Divac's right. Jordan starts to move over, anticipating the one to the left.
Gets to use most of the shot clock, slowing the tempo down. Shot clock at 1, and Magic is able to
guard now, and Magic as the off guard, posting up down low.
Magic looking to get. Magic spinning and hitting with Grant and Pippen. Nice pass and Worthy off the taunting. Here is Magic. Yes!
Look for both teams to go inside early and
it's a 3-on-1. Drexler, yes, and it counts on the shot. 5 on the 24. Drexler. Live Drexler. Blazers by 7. Drexler able to receive the pass and hit the shot. Drexler with the spin. Oh, what a move by Clyde Drexler. Miller. Barkley. Charles getting the good possession. In fact, he himself says he feels his contribution has been 0. Early entrance, though, for McRae. Barkley.
Pippen or McRae, doesn't matter. Right now, they just switched out and put McRae on Barkley. Then Pippen ran over to Ted. Mentioned coming out of the timeout that Chicago went with McRae over King. A nice backdoor pass by Charles Barkley.
And they're trying to do that again. Barkley with the steal.
Well, Charles had that diagnosed, and he's tied the game. Barkley backing Grant. A strong power move by Charles Barkley.
Seconds to shoot. Malone will. Carl turns to face the basket. Shoots over Luke. 2 in a row to start the half. Coming just when Utah was making some headway. It's Malone again. Malone again. Count it and 1. Because I'm not so sure Sloan's going to trust Isley down the stretch. It's Malone again. Malone pounds it into the floor, then scoops it up and in. Seconds to shoot. Malone will. Carl turns to face the basket. Shoots over Luke. 2 in a row to start the half. Coming just when Utah was making some headway. It's Malone again. Malone again. Count it and one. Because I'm not so sure Sloan's going to trust Isley down the stretch. It's Malone again. Malone pounds it into the floor, then scoops it up and in.
So yeah, it's another tired narrative. Another one over and over. You just hear it all the time. And nobody wants to give you context and details. How then could teams in the 90s even get to the finals with only one Hall of Famer and a bunch of bums? How is that even possible? Do you even want to know that Kevin Johnson was on the MVP ballot in 1992 and 1994, but because he only played 49 games, he wasn't going to be on the MVP ballot this season? But that was a very high-level Phoenix team who scored just as many points in that series as the Bulls did. That's impressive. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you wouldn't mind sharing it, that would be great. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I give daily content. And that's it. Until next time.